This pandemic has changed the world. Margaret W. Wong and Associates, with over 40 years experience in U.S. immigration law, keeps working for you in the midst of adversity. Offices are in Cleveland, New York, Memphis, Atlanta, Columbus, Raleigh, North Carolina, Nashville, Chicago, and Minneapolis. Look after your loved ones and we'll take care of your immigration needs. Please call us at 216-279-3984. That's 216-279-3984.
Hello, everybody. My name is Juan Carlos Brando. Thank you for having us today and joining our show with the attorney Margaret W. Wong, who has been working on this field for over 40 years in the city of Cleveland and now setting offices across the United States, starting from Atlanta, Chicago, Columbus, Cleveland, Memphis, Minneapolis, Nashville, New York, and Raleigh, North Carolina. And the phone number that you can call just to get in touch with her is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984, and she will be happy to take care of your immigration needs. And well, we're having a lot of changes, good news every single day with this new administration. And well, it's a good chance to talk to Ms. Wong about this. So hello, Ms. Wong. Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm very good. Good afternoon, Mr. Juan Carlos.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong. And well, we're really excited about hearing the news. And I think I've seen some news talking about the immigration comprehensive reform. So is there any update about this, Ms. Wong?
So far, there's absolutely no updates. I think the Republican Party and the general media, and we're just messing up the issues. The issue is there's 15 million undocumented people to maybe even 30 million, plus some criminal undocumented people, from Vietnam, Laos in the 90s that's still here. It's just like the olden Cuba, Marietta Cubans. So these are issues that we need to solve. So, but right now the parties, they're negotiating and arguing. The most important three issues is allow the TPS people, allow the DACA people, allow essential farm workers to at least get the green card. That's the first step. Then go on to, if people who came like 25 years ago, what happened to them maybe 20 years ago? And what about the undocumented people? We have a lot of people who even came in the 80s. At that time, they were teenagers. But then they don't qualify for DACA because now they're too old. So because in order to get DACA, you have to come to America before the age of 16, but you have to be born after June 15th of 1981. A lot of these people, they're born like in the 70s, so they don't qualify. So what do we do with these people? They've been here, they never left the country, there's no perm bar, no criminal record. The kids are over 21 now, and they're all living and working in America. In fact, one thing nice about Asian families, Indian families, Russian families, and Latino families is we stay in the same city and same town. So it's not like the regular mainstream families. If the job is better in San Francisco, they have a PhD or master's degree, they'll move to San Francisco. Most ethnic families, we all stay together. So a lot of us dying cities like in the Northeast or Northwest, like the Cleveland's, Columbus is going like crazy. So Cleveland, some cities like Atlanta, it's even though it's growing, but really you need the young people to work. And the fastest growing people are the Latino DACA people and Latino children who are born in America. They're all 20s and 30s now. They need to help their parents get the green card because most of these parents are in the 50s, 40s, and 60s. And we need a solution to help them. So these are what we call get them work permits, social security number, driver's license. New Jersey just started to give driver's license versus New York. Last year, Chicago had always done it, now it's cutting it down. New Mexico, California. Why do you think those states are growing so fast? Because they know how to attract immigrant workers. And their tax rates are low because the more people who work in a state, the lower we have to pay tax. So these are all issues that we need to help with. And it's not just parties negotiating, union workers, non-union workers. The issues are not that simple, but it's also not that complicated.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for this information. And for everybody who is joining us today, please don't forget that you can call 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984, and you can get in touch with the attorney Margaret W. Wong, who has been working on this field for over 43 years. So that tells you a lot of her experience. So, Ms. Wong, we're starting with some questions that we have coming in. Good morning. I would like information to the tramitation of a musician visa. How can I do this?
Okay, it's an interesting case. Years and years ago, in the 70s and 80s and 90s, a lot of people who have master's degree, who have bachelor's degree, who have musical performances, who are professors, who are teachers, they can all get H-1B. But after year 2000 and slowly till now, like the musicians, the chefs, these are all artistic people. They may not even have a degree. So they have no longer qualified for H1, they are qualifying for O1, maybe even a P2, P1. What are these visas? O1 means extraordinary. So for example, you're an artist, you're a musician, you're a dancer, you're a tennis player. O1 means that you are the top 5 to 10% of the national people who play this kind of play music or sing or dance, but it's very objective. How many times have your name appeared in newspapers? How many articles have written about you? How many articles have you published? What kind of awards, especially in sports, right? Like baseball players, I mean, it's all statistics. So a musician is more subjective. Do I like your music? Like we win quite a lot of cases on musicians. Quotas. There's a lot of Korean women who are awesome quilt people or material, like they're painters, but they only paint on certain type of materials. I mean, those are just awesome artists. There are also a lot of like lace workers who work for Giovanni's, like those French lace people, Indian lace designers who their laces are only sold to the French houses like the Chanel's, the Louis Vuittons. Those are artisan. So if you are world renowned or nationally renowned or internationally renowned, you qualify for that O visa. So those are, it's really interesting. Like we did some cases where for the Orthodox religion, those are R visa, religious worker visa, where because the priest wrote, they have a certain design, so it has to be like with a corner, with round, and it has to be very specific. Like even the wood makers, the glass makers, those are all O visa. And O visa is also interesting because unlike an H visa where the employer has to have not minimum, but sort of a gross income, how many people do they hire, location specific. O visa is not necessarily location specific. Any agent who doesn't even have a business can sort of sponsor you. That's the beauty about O. There's another visa that I found very interesting. It's an I visa. It's an international press. Years and years ago, when I visa first came out, lawyers like us will have, for example, an American company to sponsor I visa. So, for example, the company IMG is started by Margaret McCormick with the golf players, but now because Mr. McCormick passed away, but those days, because it's an American company, we can do an I visa, but now you only international press can do I. So, for example, I work for Irish press company, I could get an R visa to go to America to work on journalism. But if it's the Ohio plane dealer, I cannot get an I visa to hire someone to work in America on that I visa. So all these are very interesting visas. Coming to America, you don't have to come illegally to get something or undocumented. Like a lot of Mexicans, they may have a master's degree, they may have an IT degree, they may have engineer. They come illegally or undocumented, especially after June because of the big election that just finish in June that they're really worried about. So the upper echelons of people, sometimes you just come on a tourist and they expire, let it expire. but they qualify for so many visas. They can do E, they can do free trade, a TN visa, they can do O visa, they can do H-1B. There's a lot of visas. Of course, you have to find it, and think about it. And just a micromanaging is not just filling out a form.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for the information. And don't forget that you can talk to Ms. Wong. Calling to the phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984, 9 offices across the United States in Atlanta, Chicago, Cleveland, Columbus, Memphis, Minneapolis, Nashville, New York, and Raleigh, North Carolina. And the phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. I am Devon Brooks. I am from Jamaica. I entered the United States legally on 1997, and I was sent back to my country. So I'm trying to find out if I can apply for an USA visa.
Okay, so you have left America for 23 years or 33 years. Anytime the 3 ways you left America. One is they revoke your visa. That means they cancel your visa, and depends on how they cancel it. That's the first way. The second way is you withdraw admission. That means, oh my gosh, they ask so many questions that I don't want to come to America anymore. It's scary. They put you in that little dark room, no pictures, no windows, and you don't get water, and you sit there for hours. So that's, you just withdraw admission. I don't want to come anymore. And then they also draw a line on your visa. It could be a 10-year visa. Because you're in Mexico, the visa is stamped on your passport. Unlike Mexican visa, you have that border crossing card, the BCCC, and the old law, the new law is BCC. So that's a second way to withdraw admission. The third way is what we call expeditious removal. So for example, in those cases, they don't have iPhone, but they may check your luggage. They find a letter from your employer saying, I enjoyed you working with me for the past 3 weeks. I would like you to come back, and I want to offer you a job. So we are not allowed to work, especially in those days, especially from Jamaica, Colombia, so Dominican. So a lot of times people think of drugs or, just coming to work. So how did you get the money? So they have an expeditious removal. That means you cannot come back in 5 years. So these are the 3 ways that they probably denied your visa. But whatever it is, expeditious removal, you cannot come back in 5 years. Withdrawal of admission, even though they cancel the visa, my recommendation is immediately go back to the American embassy. They normally give you a 5 or 10-page question and answer. You show the American embassy this, and we try to ask them for a new approval, but now it's been 23 years. Absolutely apply for the tourist visa. If you did not keep any of the old papers, you can keep a FOIA, but if not, you don't need it, because they just can look at the computer. Because in those days, that's immigration, which is a part of Department of Homeland. In those days, it's DOJ, Department of Justice, which owns or immigration belong INS. The legacy INS belong to DOJ, Department of Justice. Nowadays, of course, CIS, which is CBP, belongs to Homeland Security now at the airport. So I would just apply for a new visa, and they would ask you, were your visa ever denied? Yes. Which airport? I don't know which airport. I have certain favorite airport myself. I have certain favorite airports that I would absolutely myself, even though I'm an American citizen now. I remember how it was when I was not a citizen. I would not travel to. So they'll ask you, you say yes, and it's so-and-so airport on so-and-so date. And then they'll ask, do you have any immediate relatives in America? You may have a wife or children here, you may not. And were you ever in America in 97? If you were here before, you say yes. If you were not here, you say no, because they kicked you out. So you never were here unless you were here before and you were kicked out. But whatever bar, you may have a 10-year bar that's gone, right? There's 97, that's before the old law. There's no 10-year bar. 10-year bar coming after April of 98. Actually, April 97, 1 year, 360 days coming in April 98. So there's no 10-year bar. There may be a fraud bar. Then you can do a non-immigrant visa. Because you're overseas, they don't even ask you for a form. Just if they add, depends. They may say 214B denial. That means that they may deny because there's an immigrant intent, or you don't have ties enough to Jamaica, but you must have been there for 23 years or 33 years. But if not, then 14B, you apply after 6 and 9 months, and I talk too much. But if not, they may deny on 6C, that's a fraud thing. So you file for a waiver. Depends on how they deny, you file for what. It may even get approved, but it's been a long time. It depends on who's in America and stuff like that. So all those bars are gone. I don't see a problem, except if they say we applied, then there's a non-immigrant visa waiver. You don't even need a qualifying relative to do it. That's how I do the case.
That's perfect, Ms. Wong. Thank you so much for sharing this information and this experience, this knowledge, which is really, really appreciated by me, by myself, and all the audience that are listening to us right now. So if you have any questions, please write them down while we are live on Facebook, or you can call 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. Ms. Wong, this question is interesting. Hi, attorney. I've been watching your video on YouTube. I am from Philippines, came here to the United States with H-2B visa last April 2013. My visa expired on December 26, 2013, and I continued working and paid taxes. I am married and my family is in the Philippines. I never left the United States since I came here. I never committed any crime or criminal offense. Is there any way for me to adjust my status? My employer is petitioning H-2B visa every year, or am I qualified to apply for asylum? Please include my question in your live Q&A show.
Okay.
Thank you.
You are from Philippines. You live here. I presume you are married back home. And because Philippines at one time is so poor, you're really, and I respect you for that. You're staying here undocumented to work for the same people to get paid. I presume you're filing tax return, but you're also supporting your family overseas. The most important thing is years ago, when you go to a bookkeeper to file your tax, a lot of bookkeepers say, even though your relative is not here, but because you're supporting them, you're putting their names on your tax return. And that happened to my Latino clients a lot. So in the last few years, that law changed. So number one, when you file tax return, I would not put the children's name and the wife's name, even though they are your beneficiaries and they are overseas. I would not use them as your deduction, number one. And that's very important. Number two, because your legal entry overstay, it seems like you're still working for the same employer, and I feel bad because what I would have done, because you're on H-2B, H-2 is good for 3 years, H-3 is good for 2 years. You could have extended the H-2 in America, because the general thing is H-2B, you only stay for 9 months and you leave and you come back, you leave. So every year you keep coming back on H-2B. Those are more the Latino people. Asians, like the Philippines, the Chinese, we don't leave. So then we overstay because we didn't know we could have extended. So in the meantime, you don't have a parallel. Life is filled with parallel tracks and balance, right? So on the one hand, you stayed here on H-2B, you expired. On this side, nobody filed a perm because you don't have family. Your family is overseas, so you don't have grandparents, spouse, or children in America or over 21. So if you have a child over 21, your legal entry overstayed. So if you have a child over 21, we can come here and get you a green card, all right? So always think parallel track. I came legally, I got paid legally, and I overstayed. And I'm still working illegally, but at least I'm filing my tax. I mean, I think you're filing my tax return, all right? Because then your employer otherwise couldn't pay you. So on this side, how do I get my green card? To protect this side, because more and more I'm falling into purgatory on hell because I have no more papers, right? So now if the child is over 21 and somehow he or she is a citizen, then they can immediately sponsor you. And because you have paid tax return for more than 10 years, as long as gross is more than 5,000, you can actually sponsor yourself, all right? Or pay the A64. You don't really need the child to make money. That's the first thing. The second thing is you don't have 245I, and that's why I'm really praying that President Biden and Vice President Harris and Homeland Security Chief Mayorkas, he's awesome. He knows the law because he himself is a Cuban immigrant, child of an immigrant. right? So here, so number one, if you're a child over, number two, you have no 245I because you did not come before December 00. You did not file visa petition before April 01 on here. So even if your employer is willing to sponsor you now, employment base, you're only allowed 180 days out of status here. In this case, you're out of status way more than 180 days. So don't even waste money and hire a lawyer to do employment base. So a short is because you have no children born here, especially under 21, you cannot even do that non-LPR cancellation of removal. Because you don't have a green card, you don't qualify for 42A because those are people who have green cards who have fraud or criminal records. So my advice for now is wait for the Biden, wait for new law because Biden did say if you were here before January 1st of 2020 or 2021, he may give us an 8-year path so far. And that's what Mr. Juan Carlos' question is. When does this reform come? It's not coming soon, but that's my advice. Because if you leave the country, you cannot come back, not only in 10 years, probably forever. And your family needs your support. So make sure you file tax return. If ICE got hold of you, call me. I'll keep you somehow in America, but if not, just keep doing what you're doing. And don't waste more legal fees because I have so many clients who go from lawyer to lawyer to lawyer, pay them money, and you're probably getting the same advice that I'm giving to you now.
Yeah, that's true. And thank you so much, Ms. Wong, for your honesty. And for everybody who is joining us, don't forget you can ask your question and also call for more information or for an appointment. So next week on Monday, the 12th, the office of the attorney Margaret W. Wong will be in the city of Nashville on Monday the 12th in Nashville, and you can call 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. You can make your appointment. It's going to be in person, and they will take care of your immigration needs. So thank you so much. Ms. Wong, next question is, my daughter had to do surgery for her lip and cleft palate, so I made this sacrifice to come illegal. She was over here with her mother, so I come to help out, and my country is rough. Is there any kind of visa or permit that I could get due to this situation?
No, there's really no visa, and that's why we really need reform. The reform may not be able to help the whole world or new people who come, but at least could maybe help people who came a long time ago. Now, number one. Number two is we're illegal entry, overstay. And the most important thing, even under Trump, under Biden, under Obama, under Bush, is who helped pay for this lip and cleft. If we have used government support or public charge, and that's another issue more under Trump. Under Biden, it may be a little bit better, but there's still an issue. Historically, this is always an issue. When people come here, they didn't know that they could not use public charge. So once we use public charge, at least under Obama, under Bush, they would say, because it's an emergency, it's okay, but CLEP probably is not an emergency. I'm not trying to scare you. That's first issue I see on this case. But a lot of times these surgeries are also performed on charity. A lot of the hospital, like in Ohio, in Cleveland with Metro Hospital, who does a lot of charity work on this. We also have Cleveland Clinic and University Hospital who also have charity sponsors to help people with this. So maybe that's one case. But if there's any serious illness on your American-born children and you've been here more than 10 years, then maybe you can also do a non-LPR cancellation of removal. That means that even though I'm undocumented in America for more than 10 years, I came with good faith because my daughter needs help. Now I'm here more than 10 years. I still have no papers. I have an American-born child who has extreme hardship, and I need to stay in America to take care of them. So in the meantime, with this, you can get a temporary work permit called C-10 for 1 year. And then if you can win the case in front of the judge, then you get a green card. this green card is of limited supply. There's only like 4 to 10,000 number, and you have to wait sometimes 2 or 3 years for it. But in the meantime, at least you can get a work permit to stay in America and help support your family. And make sure you file tax returns, because whenever we go to court on these cases, and we do a lot of this kind of cases, the first thing the judge asks is, we need to look at your tax return. Did you include all these children on the tax return? Did you underreport or overreport? And if your spouse is an American citizen or green card, so they are one of my qualifying relatives, why are they not working? Why are they on welfare when you make so much money? Because most of us, because we're immigrants, we work very hard. So these are questions the judge would ask.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong, and I appreciate your answer. The phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. Dalitso David is asking, Ms. Wong, you are the best. How possible is it for an athlete to file their own adjustment of status or a green card if the employer is unwilling to support, especially that they need to pay the fee for the cost and is going solo the other road?
Okay. The 3 points is the question. Number one is how hard it is to file adjustment of status for athlete. Number two is, do I do a perm, or do I do a self-sponsor, or do I do employer sponsor? Number three is it that easy that I need a lawyer? So let me go to the answer to all three questions. Number one is absolutely not difficult in the immigration world. One thing nice about immigration world versus divorce cases, bankruptcy cases, criminal cases, you have to have a lawyer because you are going to court and you couldn't do unauthorized practice of law. Nothing in the immigration world requires us to use a lawyer. And that's what I tell my lawyers and paralegals in this office is, you don't need a law license to be a great immigration practitioner. I mean, it would be nice to go to law school because they teach us how to think. Number one. Number two, athletes is a weird profession because it depends on what kind of games you play. Like in the Far East, we play, I don't know, call it Chinese. Like we have a lot of us squash, Americans are squash players, South Africans, they have squash, but 羽毛球. So there's a lot of whatever. I'm sorry, because we do a lot of Chinese that sport. So it depends on what kind of sports you play, how great you are. If you're just an unknown, not so famous athlete, your employer is willing to do perm. If it's a perm case, the employer has to pay the legal fees and the advertising fee of the case. That's why actually an employer can do a perm themselves, but perm is sort of nuanced and hard. If I were you, I would use a lawyer. If you are a great athlete, you don't need a lawyer. You just need to, on the web, there's a lot of information. You just copy all those information, get some references, and go with it on the listserv. There's a lot of web information, also have draft and forms. But adjustment of status, then the other question is it that easy? It's not that easy because you're talking about green card application, which is adjustment of status. So I presume you have an O1 or H1 or tourist visa because, as I said, parallel track, right? So if I'm on an O1, how do I get my green card? If I'm on a tourist visa, if I'm out of status here, I cannot get a green card. So adjustment of status means that 45 forms. That means how do I do the 45 forms? So you're only allowed 180 days out of status. And normally I don't even like to nerd that because what happens by more than 180 days? 180 days include weekends, which is weird because I've done nurses cases. They don't include weekends. So illegal work is different from unlawful stay. Unlawful stay means that 7 days in a week. Illegal work means 5 days in a week or only 35 hours. You can work a 3-day week, 24/7, 24, 3 days, and as long as it's 35 hours. Some states, you have 32 hours for a 4-day week because they include the 15-minute coffee break and 1 hour lunch and stuff like that. So you don't have to have a lawyer. Sometimes it's just a ease of mind to have a lawyer go through everything. But if you're that great, you don't need a lawyer. I mean, if you're that great, you should get it approved.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong. But I would recommend you that you could hire an attorney, a good attorney that can help you. There are things that we don't know. Miss Wong, maybe you have done the same thing for 4 years. I mean, different things, but maybe the same process over and over and over and over, and you already know many of the questions that they will ask. And then if I do it for the first time, then there's something that I will miss, and then they will ask me, and then I'll freak out because I don't know what they are asking me to do. So I would rather hire a good attorney, just like my Miss Margaret W. Wong, who has been in this field for over 40 years. So the phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. And you won't believe it, but Miss Wong is a little bit shy when we compliment her, but it's true. She has been doing this for over 40 years. So we need to rely on her ability to help the immigration cases, and many of those are the most difficult cases in the United States. So next question, Ms. Woman, thank you so much. Is this one? My mom has the custody of two cousins. We are from Honduras. One of them is turning 17. He's 17, turning 18 in September this year, and the other one is 15. Their dad is in Nevada, and they are in Tennessee, and their mom, I assume, is in Honduras, but she's already applying for the custody at the court. Is there something she can do for them?
Yes, if it's in Nashville, the age of 18, there's certain states, as long as you apply for warrant of court, has to be under 21. But remember, it's not just a custody case. Custody case, you don't need a special finding. That means that my child is here, I'm the guardian of a child, I need to bring him or her to go see a doctor, to go to high school, so I need permission from the state to take care of these kids, so I'm not kidnapping them. Custody issue is different from warrant of court. I just had a case I felt sorry for. They're in Franklin County, and they already got custody. So they came to me and say, "Oh, Mrs. Wong, can I do a warrant of court?" I looked at the custody paper. It's just a regular custody for going to school, going to church, going to see a doctor. There's no special findings, so it's not a warrant of court case. And now, because they already got custody, I couldn't go back to court and say, "Hey, I'm not a good custodian, but I want the warrant of court to make myself another custodian so I get them a green card." Because warrant of court means that the state is, which same with custodian, the state is deciding who is your custody. So be careful when you file for custody. Let's not mix up custody with warrant of court. And I think this is a warrant of court question because she's smart. The question is smart enough to say, "I'll be turning 18 in September." Depends on what county you are. In Nashville have some really great counties. They would expedite the hearing. I have cases in Ohio where we would just plead with the court. I mean, we pretend we're crying. "Oh, I'll be 18. I need this green card. Can you explain?" And that was during the pandemic. If some judges are nice, they would advance the hearing and waive service because you need service from the absent parent from Mexico or from somewhere. So some judges are really nice and they understand the issue. They will advance the hearing. I have other judges, not only won't they advance, they won't even do a non-pro-tonque to make it earlier. It's just horrible. So it depends on your luck, but depends on what county you are on the September one. But look at what you already had. Maybe you already got a warrant of court, then now your step is to do a 360.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong. And our time is up for today. So thank you so much for the information, for your answers. And of course, see you next time on next Wednesday in the Spanish Facebook Live. Thank you so much, Ms. Wong.
Thank you.
And for everybody who has joined us today, thank you so much for sending your questions. Thank you so much for joining us today. And don't forget that you can talk to Ms. Wong on the phone number 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. And don't forget that the office of the attorney Margaret W. Wong will be in the city of Nashville taking care of your consultations in person on July 12th in the city of Nashville. So please send your request. Call right now, 216-279-3984. Make your appointment and you will be able to see Ms. Wong on Monday, or some of the attorneys that will be there. And in Chicago on July the 20th, they will be taking care of the consultations in person as well. Thank you so much. See you next time. Take care. And please don't do it by yourself. Hire a good attorney that can help you in your immigration needs.
This pandemic has changed the world. Margaret W. Wong and Associates, with over 40 years experience in U.S. immigration law, keeps working for you in the midst of adversity. Offices are in Cleveland, New York, Memphis, Atlanta, Columbus, Raleigh, North Carolina, Nashville, Chicago, and Minneapolis. Look after your loved ones and we'll take care of your immigration needs. Please call us at 216-27